Welcome seekers of the truth to the Magical Services channel. So this is going to be a most supreme pick a card reading for the general collective, and though it is being done today, it will apply to you whatever day you first happen to view this video. With that said, collective, let's get into your reading. So for this pick a card reading, 3 cards will be picked. So I will now give you the opportunity to choose whatever card you're going to choose. 3, 2, 1. If you need more time, pause the video. But let's get into your reading now. So in case you picked card 1, that one came out as the 9 of Swords reversed. And in the deck that I am using, the 9 of Swords reversed means, or could mean, the nightmare breaking, but dawn not yet seen. Guilt beginning to release, yet the body still tenses at shadows. Shame acknowledged, but not yet forgiven. The swords remain, but now one is lowered. So the 9 of Cards reversed describes a mental field coming out of acute psychological pressure, where the intensity of anxiety, rumination, and catastrophic projection begins to lose structural control over the mind. What was previously an inward escalation of fear loops starts to destabilize, and the psyche shifts away from constant anticipatory distress into a quieter, less reactive state. This is not automatically resolution. It is a transition in the operating mode of thought itself. In one direction, it shows genuine relief, where the nervous system begins to disengage from hypervigilance and sleep patterns. Emotional tone and cognitive clarity gradually normalize. The internal narrative that once amplified worst-case scenarios loses coherence, and perception becomes less distorted by fear-driven interpretation. In another direction, it can reflect suppression rather than integration, where the anxiety is no longer actively processed, but instead pushed below awareness. In that case, the surface feels calmer, yet the underlying tension is still present, simply less accessible, creating a kind of emotional flattening or avoidance-based stability. The key distinction lies in movement. When this card is operating as recovery, there is a slow return to perspective where thoughts are observed rather than endured. When it is operating as avoidance, there is a disconnect from the emotional material. There is a disconnect from the emotional material without true cognitive restructuring. Overall, the 9 of Swords reversed marks a shift out of psychological saturation. The mind is no longer locked in maximum distress output, but what replaces it depends entirely on whether the underlying fear structures are being processed or bypassed or ignored. So that was my breakdown of your card 1. Now, if you picked card 2, what came out was the Emperor reversed. And in the deck that I'm using, the Emperor reversed could mean authority without accountability, rigidity mistaken for strength, tyranny of structure, rules that serve the system, not the people, inability to adapt, delegate, or listen. Patriarchal energy turned domineering, dismissive, or emotionally absent. Plans derailed by arrogance or brittle control. The throne stands empty or occupied by someone who fears vulnerability more than failure. The Emperor Reverse describes a breakdown in structured control systems, either in external authority, personal discipline, or the internal architecture that normally organizes decisions and direction. In its inverted state, the stabilizing function of leadership becomes unreliable. Instead of coherent structure, you get inconsistency in enforcement, plans that are made but not maintained, boundaries that are set but not upheld, and authority that either collapses under pressure or becomes rigid without effectiveness. The result is not simply lack of control, but misapplied control, control that cannot anchor outcomes. On an external level, this can manifest as weak leadership, unstable hierarchy, or environments where decision-making lacks consistency. Authority exists in name but not in functional execution, leading to confusion about direction and responsibility. On an internal level, it reflects a disruption in executive function. So let me repeat that. On an internal level, it reflects a disruption in executive function, difficulty sustaining discipline, difficulty translating intention into sustained action, and oscillation between over control and complete disengagement. The system either overcompensates through rigidity or dissolves into passivity when that rigidity fails. The deeper dynamic here is the failure of integration between will and structure. The intent to organize reality is present, but the mechanism that stabilizes that intent is compromised. This produces a cycle where control is attempted, loses coherence, and is either abandoned or reasserted in an unstable form. Overall, the emperor reversed indicates a compromised authority structure where leadership, whether external or internal, is no longer functioning as a reliable organizing principle for action, decisions, or boundaries. Now, that's what I had for card 2. Now, if you picked card 3, the card that came out is the Two of Swords reversed. And in the deck that I'm using, that could mean false truths, peace bought with denial, indecision masked as neutrality, blindfold not as focus but as refusal to see. The swords are lowered, but tension hums in the silence. A choice delayed becomes a choice made for you. So the Two of Swords reversed marks the collapse of sustained indecision. Where the upright position holds a stable stalemate, two options locked in equal resistance. The reversal indicates that this equilibrium can no longer be maintained. In practical terms, the mental barrier that was preserving delay begins to fail. Avoidance stops functioning as a strategy. What was previously held in suspension is now pressured by internal or external conditions into movement. A decision is no longer theoretical, it becomes operational. This shift often arrives as a sudden increase in cognitive and emotional load. The attempt to remain neutral becomes harder to sustain. The mind starts to experience fragmentation under competing inputs. As clarity increases, it does so unevenly, less like calm resolution and more like pressure forcing structure to break. At the emotional level, suppressed material tends to surface. What was previously held at a distance from awareness enters the decision space directly, making purely rational detachment difficult. This introduces urgency, discomfort, and reduced tolerance for delay. The core mechanism of this card, the Two of Swords reversed, is the breakdown of avoidance-based equilibrium. Stasis ends not because clarity has been achieved, but because the system can no longer support suspension. Movement follows, sometimes deliberate, sometimes reactive, but the defining feature is that non-decision is no longer viable. Overall, the Two of Swords reversed signals the end of indecision through the failure of psychological balance, forcing transition into action, disclosure, or resolution under pressure rather than comfort. So that is what I had for you today, collective. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video or comment this video or share this video or subscribe to our channel so you get first dibs on future uploads. And of course, all those actions would help me grow this supreme channel of ours very much. In case you wanted to help me do that, it would be nice and appreciated. Yeah, and make sure to check out the offer in the description box. It could be quite useful in case you are looking for a professional career or you have a professional career that you would like to make better. And also, for sure, keep a lookout for other videos on this channel. I always try to keep fresh stuff on here for y'all made with supreme standards, all sign readings, sign-specific readings, longs and shorts, divinations, and astrology readings, and whatever else you'd like to see. So please do let me know about it. Until then, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting this channel. And blessings.